Right, we are live. Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the Kiwi Lads channel. We are back for another round of Super Rugby Pacific, and this one, we're at that heating up stage of the season when all of the games matter. This is the table, the way that it currently sits. As you can see, the Western Force, they find themselves in 5th place. The Chiefs at number 1 after a big win last week, or in fact, did they get a big? Yes, they did. It was a week prior that it did go a little bit wrong, but we've had some interesting decisions as of late in terms of results of games. We're still waiting for the Blues to go. They are sitting in 8th at the moment. They have got a game later on up against the Reds that might push them into the top 8, but pretty much every side can find themselves inside of that top 6, I should say, by the end of the competition. Looking through at the starting lineup, first of all, for the Chiefs, they have got no McKenzie, but they've got a return of Wallace Satiti making his way off the bench. Aiden Ross, Samasoni Taukiaho, and George Dyer as the starting front row. Josh Lord and Tupavai in the locking duo, and then in the loose forward trio, Samapeni Finau, 2 weeks in a row. That man has been able to score. Kalen Boschia, number 7, and Luke Jacobson slotting in as the number 8. Cortez Ratama alongside Josh Jacob as a 9-10 combination. Quintal Pai and Anton Leonard-Brown in the middle. Daniel Rona, Moni Narawa, and Sean Stevenson at number 15. Like I mentioned, no Damien McKenzie for this contest. He will not be there, even off the bench, but he should be returning soon, hand injury, so it's a bit of a up-in-the-air situation, a little bit similar to what we saw for Bowden Barrett a few weeks ago. Looking through at the Forces starting lineup, it is Coxon, Nick Dolly, and Tom Robertson. He has been outstanding throughout this season. Jeremy Williams and Darcy Swain in the locking duo. Will Harris at 6, Carlo Tizzano, who's right up there in terms of try scorers in the comp at 7, and Nick Champion to Chris Pigney as the number 8. Robertson and Donaldson will be the 9-10 combination. Nick White going down last week with a head knock, so he is not there for this matchup. Amish Stewart in the midfield alongside Theo Tompkinson. Then Quinzel out on one wing, Harry Potter out on the other, and Matt Greeley at number 15. Looking through at the results from last week, we did see the Chiefs get themselves a big win over the Highlanders, 46 points to 10. The Force, they had a draw with the Hurricanes, our first draw of the season. And I wouldn't mind seeing another draw at some point, but I do want to see someone winning Golden Point. That was something that sadly in that game, we had 10 minutes of rugby action, no one quite able to finish the job. Couple drop goal attempts for both teams, but nothing really doing. Other results from that round, the Crusaders able to get themselves the win over the Blues, 25 points to 22. Fijian draw beating the Tars, 28 points to 14. And then also the Brumbies with a good win over Moana Pacifica. So, those are the results from last week. These two sides have had very different paths. I mean, we've seen the Chiefs right near the top of the bunch pretty much the whole way through. They've got a lot of ability. They've got a lot of great players. Hi, Hamish and Nelson, great weather. Chiefs 35 points to the 25 of the Western Force. Says Kevin Layla. I like that score prediction. I do have to say, I'm hoping for a high-scoring game. This one is being played in a slightly different location than we're used to seeing for the Chiefs. No longer at FMG Stadium for this match. It is going to be, I believe, Mount Maunganui that we see this match taking place. So, Hamish, watching, listening. Let's go. Then come on the Chiefs, says Moa Hunters in there too. And I should also mention about the Blues playing the Reds. That is the later game tonight. Last week we just had the one with 4 games in a row on Saturday. This week they're a little bit more spread out, with a URC match taking place tomorrow morning as well, but they are currently just playing the last post. Now, for these two sides, they have still got plenty of games left for the season. Once again, this is the way that the table does sit for the Drua. Unless they get their win up against Moana Pacifica tomorrow, more than likely they are out of the competition. Top 6 go through, 1 versus 6, 2 versus 5, 3 versus 4, and then the best placed loser does also go through to the semi-finals. For the Force, one more win here might almost be enough, but it's very hard to say, because the Reds, if they were to lose to the Blues, then the table gets even closer. If the Force can pull off the win here, might move up to 26 points. That puts them above the Reds. Unless they win, then it all gets a little bit more muddled. But either way, each of the teams, they've only got a few games left, so they have to make the most of it. I believe a lot of the teams do have 4. We have Gadea Hamish, how's it going? Says Chris Hayes, doing very well. Excited for this matchup, of course. It should be high scoring, but once again, I have no idea whether or not that will be reality. We have got Love the Mount and Go the Chiefs from Perth, says Paul there. Go the Chiefs from Perth. Okay, so you're going, although since you're in Perth, does that mean you wouldn't mind a Western Force win as well? Have you got a bit of a foot in each door, you could say, or at least it's a win-win scenario? Now, I should mention that the ground that they are at is normally known for cricket as well, I should say. And you can see the cricket pitches in the middle, which is a bit interesting. I don't think there's rugby games here too often at all. What do the Blues have to do to make the top 6? Honestly, not a lot. Like, it's actually crazy how close the table is. All they have to do, because the Tars have got a bye, which means that they can't go anywhere. They're stuck on 21 for this round. So from there, it just pretty much means as long as the Blues get a bonus point win over the Reds, which will be tough to do, or even if they get a win's a bit more challenging. They still have to win by about 30, actually, to be honest. So bonus point win over the Reds, they're right up there. Even if they win that game without a bonus point, they're tied for 6th in terms of the points. Their points differential, though, it should actually put them above the Tars. So, it's possible. All they need is that win over the Reds, but that's hard to do at Suncorp Stadium. And howdy, Kiwi Lads crew, welcome in. The Force have broken my heart so many times, living in Perth from New Zealand, says Paul. Okay, so you've got your Kiwi side and then the Western Force. Tell you what, I think a lot of Force supporters are actually really enjoying watching them this year. They've seemed to find a good rhythm. Carlo Tizzano has been absolutely insane for them as well. We'll get back in for tomorrow night's game. Which one we talking? Tomorrow night, I assume, is either Canes and Brumbies, or it could be Highlanders Crusaders, I would assume, for yourself, since you are more of a Saders man. We have got there Peopleton Hamster, Beaver getting Egg Chaser mad about his words on the URC. I think a lot of people who follow the URC were quite annoyed about it. I don't know whether or not he meant it as badly as it sounded. And also, I don't know whether or not he's been watching the URC or whether he was just told some recent results of the Champions Cup. That is Stephen Donald. Because, the URC is certainly not easy. And there's been some brilliant games throughout the season. We covered a lot of them on the channel. We saw a few hard-hitting fixtures last weekend. James Dolman will be the match official for this one. If the Blues lose, is that Blues season over? No. They actually still have time to be able to get back into it. But it's still a challenge, of course. And, it's just one of those ones that they would be getting closer and closer. Oh, I think I just heard there Jeremy Williams out of the lineup. Sam Carter is out there in the starting lineup, and it sounded like they also had a bit of a change in the propping department. Blew them away, Chiefs. Says King Raxa. And also, we have got there, what's the score? At the moment, the game has not started. So we are still waiting a little bit longer, but they won't be a mile off starting here by the looks of it. Got some nice lighting, of course, due to the fact that this is normally a stadium for cricket, so it works quite nicely. And we have also got the Landers or the Saders. It's a tricky one, but I would probably go for the Crusaders. They come in as favourites for that contest, but it's going to be kicked off Mount Maunganui, and there's an early penalty already going the way of the Chiefs. Now, that is one of the quickest penalties that we have seen. What's delayed with kickoff? Anzac Day. So they did have the last post and the moment's silence before the game, so probably not a bad reason for being slightly delayed. They're actually going to go for the 3 points here, the Chiefs. This is interesting. No Damian McKenzie, Josh Jacob in the starting lineup. And finally I've found some consistent form after years of amazing players in Paul Rugby, doing their best to lose games. I like how they are playing this year. Is it a mistake not playing D-Mac? Well, they don't have a choice. He's injured. So, no. I would say it's probably a good move to let him recover rather than chucking him out there with a hand injury and hoping for the best. This season so far, he's only had 6 kicks, Josh Jacob. He's got 4 of them over. This is just an early one to try and give the youngster a little bit of confidence from about 25 metres out. Has gone over, and it's going to make the score now 3-0 in favour of the Chiefs. So a little bit of a gift there from the Western Force, trying to obstruct them a bit when they were coming through, trying to follow the kick. And up the Chiefs, says Chris. Do you see that Bowden Barrett is on the bench for the Blues? Says Kiwi Rob. Yeah, there's some interesting choices this round overall. Like, in terms of across most of the sides, this round seems to be the one that a lot of teams have had a bit of a reshuffle and trying a few things out. Bowden off the bench is an interesting one, but they're losing a lot of players this year at the moment, the Blues, due to injuries and whatnot. So, yeah, it's certainly going to be one to keep an eye on. Only about 2 hours 25 away as well. Bit of a bonus. Cortez Ratama going to be rolling this one back from just outside of the 22. Downfield, chasing after this will be Daniel Rona. Doesn't quite get to it, but knocked on by Matt Greeley. Our Reds or Blues prediction. See, it's a very tricky game. In fact, I would almost call it the hardest game to predict of the weekend. That Blues versus Reds game. Reds come in as slight favourites at home. Blues are a side that we are still waiting to see them really find that form. Like, they've got all of these brilliant players. That's a terrible throw from Samasoni Tolkiaho. That thing wasn't even close to being straight, but it's going to be a cross kick attempted here for the Western Force. Running onto it will be Sean Stevenson, who's put under pressure. It looks like the Western Force might have themselves a line out here from about 35 metres out from the line. But yeah, Tolkiaho, they mentioned about a bit of breeze, but I don't think it changed his throw that much there. We have there McKenzie will be the mine in the game. He is currently not out there. He has got a hand injury, so he is missing from this lineup. They have got Josh Jacob in the 10. And Blues will win at the 80-minute mark, like we did last year, says Kiwi Rob. Nice attacking forward, although Luke Jacobson trying to get into the breakdown, looking for a turnover, wasn't able to get it. And go Chiefs go, says Sokovi there. Currently 3 minutes into the contest. The Chiefs find themselves defending with Matt Greeley running forward. Robertson going off to the right, looking for the strip was Fee now. Kalen Boshia onto the ball. He might have been on the man though. So James Dolman says no penalty. Donaldson goes back across to Darcy Swain with a short ball to Ryan Coxon. It's good phase play at the moment, although Donaldson decides to kick that ball away. Stevenson chasing after it, shepherding it into touch, and it just outruns Harry Potter. Will be a 5-metre line out though for the Chiefs. Just out from their line, Donaldson saw the space in mind. Stevenson was getting across. If that ball had cut a little bit inwards, that would have been a very interesting chase for the two men. Now after that last line-out throw, that's probably a good move from Donaldson too, because you can't guarantee that this one's going to go straight for Tolkiaho. That one's going to be nicely claimed there, going off to the left-hand side. Quick pass from Carlo Tazzano. They've got numbers here for the Western Force, and Bailey Quinzel does score the first try of the match. 2 line-out mistakes, and that one was a simple-looking try for the Western Force here. By the way, kickoff is not till 9:45 for the Blues versus Reds. Says Kiwi Rob, and Dalton is very good. Look at him. Says Nicholas. As in this game, Nicholas, or in the Blues matches? It's going to be nicely stolen by Darcy Swain, and Tolkiaho's line out, something that's already been criticised this season, is going to get a little bit more critique there. Let's be honest, Chiefs don't need McKenzie today. Says Jack, well, they're down at the moment 5 points to 3, but they have got a strong enough lineup that they should still be able to get the job done. But yeah, certainly not quite the start they would have been after. Now, lining up that kick from Donaldson, and it has gone over. So it's now going to make the score after 5 minutes, 7 points to 3 in favour of the Western Force. I don't think many people were predicting a first try of the match coming for the Force, but Theo Tompkinson with the assist. What game Saturday and Sunday, says Mohadeen. So we've got quite a few games of Super Rugby tomorrow, including Moana Pacifica versus the Fijian Roar, Highlanders versus Chiefs, and then also Brumbies versus Hurricanes. The URC is once again here for the weekend. Although next weekend it's going to be Champions Cup and Challenge Cup semi-finals. Nice backline movement. Oh, kicking it into his teammate. Accidental offside for Summer Penny Finau. And yes, I think so. They don't need him, says Nicholas. And Moana Pacifica or the draw. Your prediction, says Kiwi Rob. Well, it's a home game for Moana, so until the drawer get that away win, I think they'll come into a lot of away games as underdogs. They haven't won away from home in 2.5 years. So you'd have to go Moana, even though they got beaten by the Brumbies last week. But it would be a pleasant surprise to see the drawer do well And I think for the other sides that are around that 7 to 9 ranking, Blues included, a loss for Moana Pacifica would actually benefit them more in terms of those other sides than if the Moana Pacifica side won, because then Moana worked their way towards that top 6 again. Kick downfield from Sean Stevenson. Down towards the 22. Ben Donaldson now. Go for the kick downfield. Nicely claimed by Daniel Rona. Some good feet next to the sideline. Little chip in behind now perfectly. Goes straight back to him. Samapenny Finau. He's in touch, mate. He's decided to pass it to Daniel Rona, who was about 3 meters over the sideline, but it looked like a great play, other than the fact that there was no room down the touchline to be able to work. And I feel like that was maybe a bit of Rona's fault because, yeah, I don't think he realised where he was. I do think the Blues vs Reds game is the game of the round because of last year. I don't think lightning will strike twice. I think it might be a bit more of an ugly game this time round. Just, sometimes rematches aren't as good as the first one. That's kicked out on the full by the Western Force there. Chiefs will step up, no. Says Nicholas. They should do. Throughout this first 8 minutes or so, though, they've lost 2 lineouts, and they have been absolutely crucial for the Western Force's try. Now Takiaho getting ready to throw this one. He's really hesitant at the moment. That one was almost stolen as well, but they've got him very lucky as the ball has popped onto the side of the Chiefs. Daniel Rona is playing out on the left wing for this contest. Ratama goes across to Takiaho. Chiefs did take that early 3 points. If they had known that the Force were going to fire back with a try, perhaps they would have considered kicking for the corner. Although with that line-out throw, maybe that's the last thing they're thinking about at the moment. Now Ratama, back across to Josh Jacob, a young man with a bright future. A lot of people high on him at the moment. Now George Dyer, close to a steal there for Carlo Tazzano. Does get straight up back to his feet. Daniel Rona driven backwards. Got a great midfield combo here for the Chiefs. Tupai and Anton Leonard-Brown, but both men hardly touching the ball. Here comes a Moni Narua off the kicker. Stevenson picked up well. He's charging forward, and that is not the best defence from the Force, but a sensational run from a Moni Narua. And that means that the Chiefs have now got their first one. Yes, that will be the game of the day. It will be a big one. Go the Blues, says Nicholas. And yes, says non-mum. How was that player onside? Unfortunately, as I was reading your comment, that was when they showed the replay. I pretty much saw him as he was grabbing the ball there. We're going to see, oh no, that angle's not going to show us much because it is from in front. But it went perfectly to him, Moni Narua. A very well-weighted kick from Sean Stevenson. Donaldson, I have to say, that was a little bit interesting from Matt Greeley. Looked like he didn't really want to try and attempt that tackle. And as a fullback, that's not exactly what you want to be doing. Letting the guys through and saying, I might get you later. Says Drape, for being onside. Now Josh Jacob ready to line up this kick and does get it over. So that'll make the score now 10 points to 7 in favour of the Chiefs. Oh yeah, he was flat anyway in terms of that angle. It looked like he had actually been in the breakdown first for Moni Narua and then made his way forward. Oh, what's happened here? We've got a big blow of the whistle here. The Force might have just scored and we didn't get to see it because of the replay. They may have just scored straight off the restart. What has happened here? So he's kicked it low, Ben Donaldson. The Chiefs sleeping. And then running down the wing, picks the ball up. I think Harry Potter might have almost scored this. Oh, yep. That's a try. Phenomenal work from the Western Force, having their wits about them, thinking about it. And that is a brilliant try for Harry Potter that now gives the Force the lead back. I mean, to do that up against any side, let alone the team at the top of the table, and brilliant heads-up play from Ben Donaldson, who has now got a kick at the post. Bad from Sky Sport New Zealand. Well, to be fair, they probably didn't expect the side to score straight off kickoff. But the good news is they showed a replay. Donaldson just misses that one away to the right-hand side. But the Force are leading 12 points to 10. But yeah, just gets back to halfway. kicks it off. Harry Potter was ready for it as there was a massive gap. The Blues, well, sorry, not the Blues, the Chiefs extremely slow getting back and ready for that kickoff. I'm not too sure what they were waiting for. They're probably not used to sides trying that. But yeah, brilliant try. And now a knock-on advantage going against the Chiefs as well. Robertson playing 9 for this contest due to no Nick White. Nick Dolly, though, is still out there on the field. Hey, you're a wizard, Harry says, not Ost. You know what, Donaldson might be accused of being a bit of a wizard from this game too. He's had some very good moments throughout the first little while. Harry Potter was ready for it. He certainly was, flying down the wing. But not on the broomstick. Now that one's going to be kicked high. Chasing after this one again will be Potter, and he almost had it, but he is tackled and knocks the ball on. Josh Jacob now inside of the Chiefs half. We have already had 3 tries within the first 12 minutes of this matchup. Does seem like it's going to be a high-scoring one. Now, the weather is supposed to get worse as the evening goes on. I believe there's more of a chance at rain later on. We have got there, do you work on the weekend? 8 on the Minor Pacific of his Fiji drill game. Luckily, don't have to work unless you call the streaming working. We normally do anywhere between 20 and 40 hours of being awake. But we are hoping to do Moana Pacifica Drua. It will be probably 6 live streams in a row. So about 14 hours of chatting. So we'll see how we're going. What's up, everyone? Finally weekend again. Hope everyone is well, says Xander. Now Nick Dolly, ready to throw this one in. Nicely taken. And they have got this ball here. The Western Force. Looks like, who was that? That was Tupavai. He got slightly sat down. I think they were trying to milk the penalty advantage. Referee was having none of it. Ball almost coming out the side, bro. How Western Force is winning. They've been smart. The Chiefs line out has looked very poor, if we're being honest. Samasoni Takiaho just hasn't quite got it right yet. And then the Western Force have just been more aware during the game, I guess you could say. Oh, that was almost taken by Potter. We'll go into touch, though. I think if you're the Chiefs here, you take the scrum. You've got the option of both. I would think a scrum would be a much better option here. Right, Aiden Ross is going off for an HIA now. We do here. And that is going to be for Ollie Norris. By the way, Fijiana and Wallaroos next Saturday, says Kiwi Rob. And also the Under-20 Rugby Championship starting next week too. There's honestly too much stuff on next week, and I have no idea what games we're going to be doing when. Because there's Super Rugby, there's the LA Sevens, there's the Challenge Cup semi-finals, there's the Champions Cup semi-finals, there's some women's rugby, there's the Under-20 Rugby Championship. So just a bit of everything, really. Now off to the right-hand side, skip pass, find Sean Stevenson across to Lamoni Narua. This time he is tackled by Bailey Winzel. Those two already have managed to score themselves tries. Ratama goes across, rush defence from Darcy Swain, but he leaves a gap for Ollie Norris to be able to run through. That is a very good carry for a man who's just made his way off of the bench. Josh Jacob trying to chip him behind. This time, awkward bouncing one. Greeley is aware of it, though, and manages to step around Daniel Rona. And back across to the right. Nice carry forward from Coxon. Just clone yourself, mate. Probably wouldn't be very cheap to do, I wouldn't think, if they were bringing out some sort of cloning device. Nice take from Josh Jacob. Gives it off to Sean Stevenson. And the penalty. Stupid decision made by Samasoni Takiaho in through the side of the breakdown. He has had far from the best start in this match. Puts his hands up and apologises, but it's given the Force another opportunity. Will Aiden Ross be picked for the Wallabies for the Lions series? There's been rumours that he might do. Like, based off current form, of course, head knock aside, but, you know, if there's an option for them and they're looking at him, I'm just trying to think who else. They've got Bell at the moment in that number 1 jersey. Who else would they stick at 1 at the moment? I don't know why I can only think of Waratahs players, but of course the Brumbies, they've got a few guys as well. Western Force, they've got Cox, and I don't think he'd get the call up. And Belamish, listening from Fiji, says YouTube user, welcome in. And do you think the Force will win, or will the Chiefs win? Well, the Chiefs on paper were about $1.03 favourites compared to the $8 underdogs of the Force, but I don't think anyone was predicting a start like this from the Western Force in this contest. Pick and go around the side of the breakdown, only 3 metres out from the line, but that time it's going to be knocked on by Ryan Coxon. Cross kick attempted. Stevenson pops the ball up to Amoni Narawa, who's going to back himself on the outside. Greeley got himself all sorts of in the wrong place there, but somehow makes the tackle as Narawa runs over the top of him to Pyer. Is Leonard Brown? Oh, yeah, he is on the field. I was about to say, if they had a late change because they haven't seen him, but he is lurking. Josh Jacob doesn't manage to find touch with that. Now charging forward. Good low tackle on Greeley by Josh Jacob. And now another penalty goes the way of the Western Force. Blackburn Sevens team. Georgia Miller, Stacey Waka, Mahina Paul, Sarah Hineni, Michaela Brake, Paulie Lane, Felix Otham. Yeah, so plenty of the players from that Sevens setup. Of course, the LA Sevens taking place next week, so it will be interesting to see what does happen there. Like they are just saying, very high tempo at the moment for this contest. Both sides really trying to get as many points early on as they can. Quinton Pye frustrated with himself for giving away that penalty. And also for the All Black Sevens team. Oh, I thought you were listing the Black Ferns in general rather than the Black Ferns Sevens, because a few of those players might actually go across, mightn't they? A bit of a crack in Union with Donaldson from 51 metres out. Interesting choice here to decide to go for the 3 rather than continuing the early onslaught. It's going to be kicked high by Donaldson and just away to the right-hand side. Did anyone expect this terrific early start from the Force? Preview, says Jonathan. Not really. I think a lot of people were thinking the Chiefs were going to go and fire extremely quickly, but the Force have shown that they are once again playing extremely well. And they've done it in multiple of their games throughout the season. Like, we've got to remember, this is a Force side that lost by 4 up against the Reds in both of their games, home and away. The Reds have beaten some great sides already this season too, so this Force side, when they get it right, can be extremely competitive. Don't get why Michaela Brake hasn't made the transition to 15. She's so good, says the Sporting Kiwi. I think was she in the setup for the last World Cup? I don't think she normally goes into it during the non-World Cup years, just because I think she's just sticking to the sevens type thing. But yeah, I agree. I think she'd be extremely dangerous in a 15s kit full time, but I guess the 7 circuit's quite difficult with the amount of games and the amount of months that you're tied up with it. But now Josh Jacob. And I kick this one downfield. Nicely taken by Donaldson, 40 metres out from his line. Currently we are 20 minutes into this contest. Still sitting very close. 2 points difference between the two sides. Now Coxon. Tackled by Kalen Boshier. To the left-hand side, Donaldson. Little pop pass up from Stewart. Looked like a man tried to say he was taken off the ball. Referee didn't even give him a second look. Now Robertson goes off to Robertson. There are 2 Robertsons in the team. Now Robertson again. He is the number 9. Donaldson pops the ball up. And around the halfway line, Quinton Pye tries to get over the ball, but we are going back for, a TMO check. She's doing the 13 games for the Wars. Right, potential foul play. So the one that I mentioned about that the ref didn't seem interested in, he is now very interested in. As they're going to check this one. And normally, if you go into a TMO, there's normally some sort of... Oh, no, that was actually C.O. Tompkinson who ended up cleaning up Josh Jacob a little bit high. Is he going to hit him on the chin? Now, Jacob is ducking down a little bit. There is an arm wrap. They're saying he could be bent more, though. I don't think he was anticipating as much dip in the knees of Josh Jacob as he got. So they've said could be lower, so it seems like it could be a yellow card here. Is this game a sellout? It looks all right in terms of the people I can see in the background. Speaking of people in the background, I saw Kurtley Beale there watching on. Sport Force from the Western Cape, South Africa, says Dylan. By any chance, is your support for the Western Force because they have Western in their name? Out of curiosity, Dylan. Right, it sounds like it's going to be a yellow card and an off-field review now for that shot from C.O. Tompkinson. AS is a sellout, says Kiwi Rob. So yeah, it looks like a decent crowd. I'm not too sure how many they can hold at this location, because normally, of course, it is a cricket one. Go the force, says for Pi. It does mean that the penalty will go the way of the Chiefs, and that will relieve a little bit of pressure. Does look like he's going to be all right to continue this match. Josh Jacob too, which is a good sign, seeing as they have lost Damien McKenzie for this one. The coach is having a Sprite 0 by the looks of it, and capacity 10,000, says Kiwi Rob. I guess because it's a location that they don't normally go to, you're probably more likely to get that sellout. Jacob has managed to find touch with it. And going to try Chiefs, says Novmum. Just showing Damien McKenzie there. I've just said that he's not going to be out for a long time, which will be great news for the Chiefs. Definitely as we do move closer to these playoff matches. Samasoni Taukiaho, he gets that line out right, but then it's knocked on. Or at least I thought it was by Cortez Ratama. Looks like it's going to be all right, though. Passes on the inside to Taukiaho, who scores the try. They may check this to see whether or not Ratama knocked it on at line-out time, but it might have hit him in the knee and bounced down. First initial reaction from a distance. Didn't look great, but Taukiaho does get there. Looking well, Hamish, no crazy hours, says 0. Not yet. First crazy hour game is going to be 6:30 a.m. tomorrow morning, and then we've got 6 games in a row. But I'm not sure whether we're going to do all of those 6, but yeah, straight off the shin of Ratama there. And then just gets the pop pass up to Norris, and then nicely done. Off to Taukiaho. Did manage to score the try. And oh, look at that. Says the Novmum. Now Josh Jacob, they have already made the advantage. Some points there. 14 versus 15 for the next 8 more minutes. And Jacob, oh, that one got caught by the breeze, and that will miss away to the right-hand side, making the score now 15. 15 points to 12? Yeah, it is. Scoreboard is slightly wrong, I believe. Yeah, it just goes straight into the shin of Ratama. I did check it slowly. And then Taukiaho, a little bit of a similar try to Imoni Narua's, which was when the big man starts driving towards the try line, the force didn't seem to know how to stop him. The Chiefs are back ready for this kickoff now, making sure that they weren't leaving that big gap to be able to run through for the force. Nicely taken by Josh Lord. And it wasn't a beautiful try. It wasn't bad. It possibly wasn't as smooth as it could have been, seeing as it did hit the shin. The scoreboard wrong? Correct. Yes, it's 15 points to 12 at the moment, but I can't do anything about it. It's going to be kicked high by Cortez Ratama from just inside of the 22. Lining up this one, Daniel Rona doesn't quite get the hand to it, but Robertson does. Tries to pass it across to Donaldson, who this time controls it with his shin as well. Tries to cross kick. Attempted here, going up for it. Kuinzel wasn't able to quite claim it. Now, Ratama is to get into that breakdown across to Sama Penifi. Now, Norris has been really strong since making his way onto the field. He's had multiple carries. Kicks it high, Josh Jacob. That one's going to bounce into touch. Daniel Rona wasn't quite able to get to it. Currently still 7 minutes remaining of Tompkinson's yellow card. Was playing Chicha tonight at 8:05. That is correct, up against the Knights. And thank you for the commentary, says Music Rocks. No worries at all. We've got plenty more coming up this weekend, including multiple matches of the URC. Also alongside that, we've got a lot of the Super Rugby games as well. Another match about 2 hours' time, happening between the Reds and the Blues too. Nick Dolly is ready to throw this one in. It's going to be nicely claimed and up the wires. Says Kiwi Rubble, big shot from Taukiaho and Jacobson, but he keeps on charging forward for Nick Champion to Chris Pigney. Oh, a little bit of a cheap push there from Taukiaho. Hello, Hamish. Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well. See Sebastian, welcome in, mate. Currently, it's been a competitive game so far. 15 points to 12, even though the scoreboard's trying to lie. But it just seems to be that the Force have come to play. And the referee has as well. He's pretty much speeding them up, saying, no time wasting here, keep going. Currently, we have seen 40 tackles made by the Force, missing 7 with an 85% completion. 46 tackles made by the Chiefs, 3 tackles missed, 94%. And there's been 4 tries scored throughout this game, which does mean that from the 10 missed tackles, we've seen 4 tries, which pretty much means there's also been times when no one's even touched the guy who's scoring. Sean Stevenson surely in the All Blacks this year. I think if he's not, he will consider his overseas options yet again. Unless, of course, he's locked in for an extended period of time. I'm not actually too sure what his contract's sitting at the moment. There's a delay. It's 15 points to 12. No delay, just wrong scoreboard is the case. So it did update nice and early, as it's just an online one. But, yeah, they didn't get the kick over. But then that would have made it 17. Whereas the game is at Mount Maunganui for this contest. And that's going to be the penalty now going the way of the Western Force. And we have good there, go the mighty Waikato Chiefs, Manaha, brother, says Christopher. When will Sky TV hire this man for TV commentary? I don't think it will happen, if I'm being honest. Thank you. It's 1,000 plus Western, says Marvy Marv. And also, are you doing the first game of the Black Ferns, which is 10th of May? No idea yet. I haven't actually done the... Oh. Okay, it sounds like it's just going to be a yellow card due to the significant drop of Josh Jacobs' height. But yeah, I'm not sure what we're doing on the May 10th stage yet. Yeah, we do see the drop. So it will remain as the yellow card, but the Western Force have already conceded during that time. Now, ready to throw this one in, and, nicely stolen by the Chiefs. Now 22 metres out from their line. Looks like a Moni Narua is going to have a crack at running this one forward. Now Cortez Ratama does kick this one towards the touchline. Bit of a swirling one, but Harry Potter is ready for it. Sitting on the halfway line. Big shot coming in on him by Josh Lord. Good hands from Will Harris. What are the body languages saying about each team, says Dylan. I am not a body language expert, but both teams look pretty fresh at the moment. Like, neither side look like they're out of it, although Will Harris's body language at the moment would be best described as, because he looks like he's hurt his ankle. So his language is definitely different to the others. If he was to say a word to express how he's feeling, it would probably not be allowed to be said on YouTube, as he looks like he's in a bit of discomfort. Crusaders are tomorrow, says No Mum. Are you doing the Crusaders game tonight? Yeah, so tomorrow they are playing up against the Highlanders, but we will be doing that game on the channel. Now going to be kicked downfield, nicely taken by the Western Force, sitting 30 metres out from the line. Donaldson runs it back to 40. Let's kick it down towards the Chiefs 22, and Stevenson says we'll have a bit of a break and I'll take the mark. Mate's got a good chance to be a comms. Says not Ost. It looks like Will Harris is actually going to continue in this match. He did look like he might have really badly hurt his ankle. He's trying to continue. He's kind of jogging but not. He's kind of jogging on one leg and just kind of trying to avoid standing on the other. Right, Ollie Norris will stay out there on the field. That is due to Aidan Ross failing the HIA. Yes, no tossed. Would be very good as a commentator. And also subscribe, says Dylan. And there as well. Thank you very much, mate. We are also going to be covering the URC on the channel. We've got a 6:30 a.m. start tomorrow morning, which is always fun, but normally they're good matches to get up for. Nicely taken by Rona just outside of the 22. Stevenson will return fire with a kick of his own. I do see that the scoreboard has actually updated. It looked like two men looking at each other saying yours. Neither of them claiming it, but now Burden downfield looking for the 50-22. Awkward bouncing ball, but Jacob watches it closely. And now, let's kick it into touch. Aidan Ross says Marvy Marv. That is his name. He's the number one. But yes, of course, the more well-known Aidan Ross is in America at the moment. He is not playing rugby that we know of. But, yeah. The thing is, I think this Aidan Ross is older, so he probably had the name first. But then there's probably an Aidan Ross senior somewhere around the place. Oh, referee not happy with that line out. Right, James Dolman saying about the Western Force, they are complaining about the gap, but then they step out once the line-out's set. So he's going to be keeping a close eye on it by the sounds of it now, just to make sure that the line-outs are running relatively smoothly, or at least as smoothly as they can. Nick Dolly throws it in. Challenged in the air. I think Vai might end up with a penalty advantage against him there. No, in fact, they're going to say play on. Big run from Carlo Tazzano. Scored a lot of tries this season already. Come on, the Chiefs. Says Moa Hunters. Another penalty goes the way of the Force. And morning/evening, Hamish. And there too from Flesh. And I hope you're doing well, mate. Who are the Scarlets playing this week, out of curiosity? Because I think they're still in the running, aren't they? Scarlets currently sitting 9th. So they're slowly oh no, it's not Leinster, is it? Oh no, it is Leinster. That will be a tough game. But if they win that, they'll be in the top 8. So that's good. All right, looks like Sia Tompkinson not a mile away from making his way back out onto the field. 5 penalties conceded against the Chiefs. Evening, Amish, says Anthony. Welcome in. Back to 15 versus 15. Ben Lawson now lining up the kick, which will make the score 15 versus 15 in terms of the score and the players on the park. Now, should be a relatively easy kick without jinxing anything. It should be relatively straight and, brings it round on the breeze. And that is going to make the score 15 points to 15. How do you rate the URC level of rugby play compared to Super, Hamish? That's a brilliant question. Definitely with what's been happening this week. Honestly, I don't think it's a very, very low level, as some people have said. But, honestly, I think both competitions are world class. Sounds like a very political answer. But honestly, the URC, Leinster, there's a reason they're regarded as one of the best club rugby teams, if not the best at the moment in the world. And it's not because they always play easy opposition. The URC is a competitive comp. And, you just got to look through the team lineups to know how many internationals are in there across the lineup. Same with Super Rugby. You're going to see a few Wallabies, a few All Blacks, no matter who's playing who, unless maybe Moana Pacifica, Fijian draw. Artie Savia, luckily, helps that statement a little bit, but that's going to be the penalty going the way of the Chiefs now. It's going to be for not rolling away. I should call a UFC fight. That'll be interesting. We've considered it multiple times, I think is the best way of describing it. I do watch the UFC pretty much every week. Normally it's about Monday or Tuesday, though, because I don't get a chance to watch it live because I have to sleep at some stage. Yeah, it's like a bye weekend, guaranteed no points. Yeah, honestly, Scarlets have to go into that game saying, we don't care about our points differential. We just have to go out here and try and get 4 tries somehow. Because if they can do that, then that's much more of a bonus than some teams have got up against Leinster. Cheers, mate. Says Mr. Allin. But yeah, we get the best of both worlds because we get to cover both comps. So I feel like that's one of those ones that some people who don't like the URC don't actually watch the URC, which I find interesting. They just don't like the idea of it for some reason. But that kick has gone over, and that's going to now make the score 15 points to 3 now. Oh, sorry, that's a lie. 18 points to 15. Lead by 3 is what I meant. And Arbro should commentate the UFC, says Music Rocks. Who's fighting this weekend in the UFC now that I think about it? We had the bye week last week, didn't we? Or at least a week off. Oh, Ian Gary and Carlo Prates. By the looks of it. Now it's sitting 33 minutes into the contest. Cortez Ratama. Going to roll this one back again. Are these the playoffs, says Marvy Marv? They are not, no. Just regular pool stage or group stage matches, I guess you could say. Pool play. Round robin. I'm trying to think of the best word. He's going to knock out Gary. Yeah, though, Ian Gary, he's a bit of an interesting one. He's a little bit similar to Paddy Pimlet in a way, in terms of everyone hasn't really rated him yet, but then he might go out soon and get one of those big wins. Wherever their Super Rugby got us to the World Cup finale, didn't it? Can't be much wrong with it, says Patrick. Yeah, exactly right. Both competitions are great. And nowadays, more than ever, it seems to be, rather than just complementing one competition, the gist of it seems to be you have to compliment one and downgrade another. And it seems to be the same with like players. People will say this guy's much better than this guy, rather than just saying this guy's a great player. Like it just seems to be nowadays everything that gets clicks involves degrading or like trying to, I guess, say that something's worse than something else. Which is exactly what's happened with Stephen Donald. He said it's a very low level, which he shouldn't have because it's not. But rather than just saying Geordie Barrett at the moment, he's looking brilliant. It's easy enough. He's playing for some of the best rugby he ever has. And it might be because of the team he's in, but, it's just this obsession with saying, nah, this is bad as well, while we're at it. Now, Cortez Ratama sitting about 10 metres out from the line. They've got themselves a 3-point lead at the moment. I want to get into the MLR, but the camera work is terrible, makes it difficult to watch. Says the thwarting Kiwi. That's a nice run from Luke Jacobson, now only 2 metres out from the try line. Pops it off to, that's very close. Boshier kind of looked like they've said he's knocked it on. Now, that's an interesting one. They may go back to check this, but for now, the Western Force are going to kick this one downfield and look for the 50-22. Well, looks like it's just going to keep on rolling, though. Sean Stevenson will have to claim the ball only a couple metres out from his try line. Now, I do think Boshier made the wrong choice in terms of what to do when he was that close to the line. I think he just needed to recycle it, get it back. Do you think Sky will get the Rugby Championship under-20s, considering it's Thursday? I believe they are going to get the licensing like last time. That's going to be kicked downfield from Ratama and gets it in touch. Now we will get to see that replay of how close Kalen Boshier was. But this should have been a try for the Chiefs. But he was short. He tried to crawl forward. Oh, that's a try, is it not? Oh, okay, no, they're saying now the hand lost control of the ball, then the hand came on it. So I think they're saying that the TMO has looked at it multiple times and found, maybe from this other angle it will look a little bit, okay, he rolls it forward a little bit, yep. UFC not returning to New Zealand is disgraceful. Doesn't help that Izzy won't fight here anymore. Yeah, I think the biggest problem that they've got at the moment is other than, like, Adesanya, you've got Hooker, who is still, he'll fight anyone, anywhere. So that's a slight problem because, of course, he's not going to be like, I'm only going to fight if it's in New Zealand. And then other than that, though, Mark Hunt, when he used to be fighting, that was always, like, more of a chance of a Kiwi card. Like, I do see that they're considering Australia again, which seems to be the decent option at the moment. TMO stealing from the Chiefs again, says Xander. Right. So the TMO is still trying to clearly prove that this is separation. The biggest problem that he's got there... See, this is where we get a little bit ugly. Because the fact that the TMO's already said, I say it's a no try, and now the referee's having to prove to players that it isn't a try, and now they're looking at it again to try and prove that it's not a try, and now the ref thinks it's a try. Now you've got a problem because the referees are disagreeing. I think they're going to look at this for another 7 minutes and decide maybe we'll just give it in the end. I used you and 2 cents as an example of being a good Kiwi when some people were saying Kiwis were being arrogant after what Donald said. Says revenge. Yeah, see, like, all I think that's happened there for Stephen Donald, of course, I don't know the full story, but either he's looked at like a couple highlights and gone, there's been no defence. But the reason there's been no defence is because of how good Leinster are at the moment, that they're just destroying absolutely everyone that they play, not based off the lower level of opposition, but just based off pure skill and dominance at times in recent weeks. Or he's looked at the fact that they win 114-0 in their last 2 games combined. Well, they're going back for a try here, ladies and gents. So the try is awarded. They're going to go right back down the field. And, well, so what's the point of a TMO? If the TMO's just said it's not a try, then the players have gone, I don't like that, check it again. The TMO's gone, still not a try. Referee said, I think that's a try. TMO says, I don't think that's a try. Ref says, can you check it again? TMO goes, fine, it's a try. Peer pressure. Gotta love it. It's some WWE rules. If the ref doesn't see it, it didn't happen, says Pro Plebe. Imagine that. Imagine the crowd interacting with a referee if when there's like a breakdown happening, he just looks away. You know? And someone whacks someone with a chair. Is it like a punt in American football? Not quite. They have a tee that they put the ball on and then they give it a smack off that. But it's been eventful. 23 points to 15 at the moment. Another penalty. That was Kalen Boshier who scored that one. Captain can mount a challenge, can't he or she? Not really. Like, they don't quite have the captain's challenge rule. It's been talked about a lot due to the inconsistencies of refereeing recently. But, like, yeah. It's an interesting one. To be fair to Stephen Donald, were people talking this highly of Jordie Barrett last year? I think there's much better options at 12 in New Zealand, says the Sporting Kiwi. Well, I think that the reason they're talking highly of Jordie Barrett at the moment is because he has been absolutely phenomenal in the URC and Champions Cup. Now, don't get me wrong, when you drop a guy like that into an incredible team and an incredible atmosphere, he's probably going to do quite well. But, like, I think that a perfect example is look at the Hurricanes this season now that Jordie Barrett and Artie Savia are gone and see the difference in the way that they're playing. When you stick a player like that in an already established strong team, like they're going to be able to play their best. That combination of Jordie and Rico, I think, was holding both of them back. And they might be that combination next year if Leinster want Barrett again. I was just seen a few recent Leinster highlights and read a few headlines and jumped to that conclusion. I agree. I think that it's definitely something that's come from either just being told about recent results, because it might not even be the URC that he's thinking of. It might be the two games between Glasgow and the Quins where Leinster won 60-0 and whatnot. And he's gone, okay, that's the whole gist of the comp. But, yeah. Certainly united the Northern Hemisphere, which was quite cool to see. Heading into the British and Irish Lions tour, I feel like there'll be a little bit of extra feeling there now. Obviously, that next try might be the most critical this game. Yeah, I think that if the Chiefs, with a 10-point lead, can score again, they might almost be... I don't want to say they'll be home and hosed, because this game seems like it's got plenty of turns. Geordie's in the ABs, whatever you say. Says Patrick, yeah, like, I don't see Robertson not selecting him from what we've seen, but I also hope that we get to see a couple of these guys in Super Rugby, the likes of Quinn Tupaia, getting a bit of a chance, as he has been really strong in that 12 jersey this season. Jacobson going across there to Josh Lord, currently on the halftime siren, but it looks like the Chiefs do want one more. How good is Quinn Tupaia? He's a phenomenal player. And I haven't even mentioned, he's playing Darcy Swain here. There's a bit of something between those two, or at least I'd assume there is for Quinn Tupaia. Swain got 3 weeks, Quinn Tupaia got 8 months when he decided to give him the dirty shot in the breakdown. Now, Ratama on across to Quinn Tupaia right next to the breakdown. Hamish, according to you, was it a try or not? Honestly, like, completely honest answer, I couldn't see an angle that showed clearly if he knocked it on or not, but I also couldn't see an angle clearly that showed that he didn't. There was a foot right in the wrong place, and it was very annoying to look at. You just wanted to chop it off and just put it to the side so that you could see that ball. But, yeah, it all happened just in those couple frames where the man's boot was right in the camera. Now, Ollie Norris. So the Chiefs are continuing to attack here. I much prefer Quinn Tupaia, even AJ Lamb to Jordie Barrett, says the Sporting Kiwi. Let's run forth from Amoni Narawa. Oh, losing his footing there was Will Harris. After 11 phases in a row, looks like the Chiefs are persisting, trying to get over the try line just before the halftime break. 22 metres out from the line. Here comes Summer Penifee now. Now looking both ways. Oh, that was bad from Ratama. I think it hit the foot of his own player. He was trying to milk it for the offside advantage. However, there, the Sporting Kiwi, who is your favourite MLR team? I like Houston, says Jonathan. And also, good morning. Sorry I'm late, says Stuart. No worries at all. And hang on, there's 3 games of URC all kicking off at the same time. That is correct, yeah. They don't often do it. It's just unfortunately, this week it's how they've had to do it, just to squeeze it all in. Short ball from Jacob goes off to Luke Jacobson, tries to flick it out the back door to Sean Stevenson, who drops it. And after 17 phases, they don't make their way through. Geordie is a fullback, said Dush. And also, Leinster didn't win the URC last year, and the Blues won Super Rugby. I would win if they played at the moment. Let's not play Geordie, says Fleshin. Yeah. Yeah, I think that without going too in depth with it, because or else then it will start up the whole debate again. I think that you put this current Leinster team off their current form up against probably 99% of club teams. Maybe they have a battle with Toulouse, but Toulouse aren't like they're in great form, but I don't know if they're quite at that same level now that DuPont's gone. Bordeaux are looking pretty good, but same again, we're going to see those two sides possibly play in the near future. But, I think Leinster beat most of them off current form. Are those two other games catch-up games? I'm not actually sure, to be honest. I think that all the teams have played the same amount of matches at the moment. Yeah, they've all played 15, so they've just gone, we'll squeeze those games all in at once. So we are covering the Glasgow versus Bulls game, but Zebre versus Edinburgh and Cardiff versus Munster, all taking place at the exact same time. And, I'm not exactly sure of the reasoning. Normally we have 2 games at the same time, but 3 games is a bit more than normal. And we have got there, Murray Mixter said that he would have Clark on the left wing, Rico on the right, Will Jordan at fullback, says the Sporting Kiwi. And Tapaio AJ Lamb can't kick goals from their own 22-metre line, says Patrick. And does the breakdown deliberately troll. And that only for Kiwi audience thing is nonsense to me, says Revenge. I think that as much as people get annoyed at the breakdown, they're very smart in what they do sometimes, because look at what's happening now. More people than ever are talking about the show. More people will be looking at clips than they've had in months. More people will be looking to what they say when it comes to the All Blacks build-up, when it comes to the July internationals. So it's a little bit similar to what I guess you could say someone was mentioning about WWE earlier on, how they always say whether you're a heel or a face, if you're getting a reaction, then you're doing something right. And I feel like the breakdown is as outrageous as some of their takes are. They get people talking about the show, which otherwise they wouldn't be, if that makes sense. So I feel like, yes, sometimes they probably get told, just say this, see what happens. And Stephen Donald, they said, hey, Beaver, Kiwis won't go against you because you won them a World Cup. So what about you take a jab at some other audience this time and see what happens? And then it happened. Chiefs are like foreplay without the finish. They warm up into the season but fizzle out when it really matters, says Music Rocks. And we have got there Billy Proctor, says the Sporting Kiwi. And Ira Hamish says Rock My Bulls. Welcome in. Is DuPont playing or still injured? He is still injured at the moment. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to be back for another probably 5 months or so. Someone was trying to say he was going to run out for Toulouse yesterday, but I think his leg's still detached, so take a little while. What games are you doing Sunday for the URC? I am hoping to do 3 matches. Now, this is subject to change because by the time we've done 3 Super Rugby games, the voice might be disappearing or we might be buggered. But Lions Connacht at 2 a.m, Stormers versus Benetton at 4:15, and Ulster versus Sharks at 6:35. That's the plan, but definitely subject to change because, I know we've done a lot of games in the past, but I don't think we've done 6 in a row for a little while. So that's going to be a nice little challenge. I was really putting up a fight here, though. Yeah, Force looked really good in that first half, and in fact, a lot better than I think a lot of people would have given them credit for heading into this contest anyway. Like, they were huge underdogs. That sneaky try of Harry Potter certainly got them back into a good position, and then the Chiefs have just taken a few smart plays. Murray Mixted insists on Papali'i as an 8, not a 7, says the Sporting Kiwi. And also I agree with the Billy Proctor at the centre, says Stuart Moore. I would too. I just need to see him play a few more games. Like, he's only had 1 match so far off the bench for the Hurricanes. If he has a good, let's say, 4 or so games remaining of the season for the Canes, I think he'll have a decent shot of making it into the ABs. And maybe, you look at last year and Robertson, how often he played Proctor, and it wasn't a huge amount. So, he'll have to be in great form, or else Robertson might look elsewhere. Like, I think Robertson's picking David Havili if he's match fit. And honestly, compared to last year, I feel like Havili getting selected isn't as much of a shock this year if he is, because he's actually been playing decently for the Crusaders. But if Proctor can find his rhythm, I think he's got to be in there too. I want you to do draw versus Moana Pacifica game, even if it means you drop the Canes game, says Kiwi Rob. It's very assertive from you, Rob. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Like, the Moana Pacifica Fiji and draw game is definitely high up on the list. And like you've said there, the Brumbies-Canes game might be the one that, if any were to miss out of Super Rugby, it would probably be that one. Tapon is still injured, exactly right. So we're going to be out for multiple months. Just showing that try from Caleb Boshier. He started to run this week. Yeah, see, only starting to run still, you're a wee way away if that's the case. Like, yes, he might want to try and fast track it, but I just don't see the benefit of doing so. However, there, I can't record me game. Says Dan at 2 and David at 12 and Proctor at 13. An interesting combo, something that we haven't really seen too much of. We see there Michaela Brake on the commentary. Michaela No Break is at the game. She certainly is, and not just at the game, she is talking about the game too with Aaron Cruden and Kirsty. Do you pick Mark Talia considering he leaves at the end of this year? I think we talked about it last week. It might have even been you who asked the question, Kiwi Rob, possibly. But for me, Razor will make the big decision of, has Talia played well enough this year? Will be one of them. But then also, what's his long-term plan for that right wing position? Or left wing, because Talia, of course, can play both. But if it was between, let's just say it's not, but if it was a decision that Razor had to make, and it was either Imoni Narawa or Mark Talia makes the team. Narawa's playing in New Zealand next year as well. You've got Mark Talia who's heading to Japan. And even if you said both of them were at the same playing level this season, which I don't think is the case, I think that there's been a bit of a difference there. But you've got to go for the guy that you know is going to be there for future teams. Because, like, even building towards November and whatnot, you want to find someone who's, like, in your future plans. And I think that Narawa, the tricky part there is, once again, he's a guy that Razor took out of his side last season and decided to switch him out and go for instead. I think it was Ruben Love came back in to the squad. I think that was one of the guys who popped back in. Dewitt Carter. And does he play both sides? I'm not sure how much he's played on the left wing side for Leroy Carter, but honestly, like, this is controversial. But with Talia going to Japan, well, I think it's about 90% confirmed that he's going to go to Japan. But if he goes, I would pick Carter ahead of Talia, just because at least you've got the future. His nickname is Razor. I thought it was Rooster, but Fraser McGurk is Rooster, says Xander. Is his nickname Rooster? Why is his nickname Rooster, Xander, out of curiosity? They are just showing there the Chiefs minus 21.5. That's a slight underdog in terms of the handicap. So TAB are expecting a relatively comfortable win for this Chiefs team. But I do think that the Western Force have been handy enough. And I don't think they'll be a mile away in the second half. Looking through at the benches for this game, it is Brody McAllister, Ollie Norris, and also Ruben O'Neill. Now, we have already seen Ollie Norris make his way onto the field. That was due to the injury of Aidan Ross. Took a head knock. Naitoa Koi also there with Simon Parker. And a return at number 21, Wallace Satiti. He is back way earlier than people first anticipated. But once again, you look at someone like him and Billy Proctor, for instance, both getting the chance right at the end of the season. I don't think the loose forward trio for the ABs has been completely confirmed as of yet. So if Satiti can come off the bench, have a couple big games, maybe start a few of the playoff matches, seeing as the Chiefs are going to be in there. We've got to remember what that man did last year during those important games. Maybe he finds himself in the AB setup once again. Te Tara Tahuria Rangi is there at number 22, and Caleb Trask is there at 23. For the Force, they've got Horton. Molly, I think, was a late change from what I heard them say, and Smith there at number 18. Carter and Reed Prinsep, the number 21. Phillipson, Burry, and Pullman as number 23. These are the table, or at least where the sides do sit on the table currently. The Force on 22 points. If we were to look at this game and how it currently sits, the Chiefs would extend up to 36 and the Force would remain on 22, which does leave plenty of movement opportunity for the other sides in the competition as well. I'm going to watch the Wales game, which is just getting underway. Says Kiwi Rob. And also we get a Hamish, show us your right nipple for the halftime show. I would rather show the left, but we'll save that for another time, I guess. I have no idea. Any Aussies in the chat here that know? Says Xander. I mean, is here... I imagine if he woke up in the morning, it would probably stick upwards. So maybe that's where it comes from. Maybe. We have there, during the post-game interview, the 21-year-old told us how he got the nickname Rooster. You've left us on a cliffhanger there. And my boy Satiti playmate, he is going to be off the bench. As of now, what is your favourite game I think I've seen this year and the worst game this year? This is going to sound really bad, but worst game I think was probably last week between Munster and the Bulls. That one, I think a lot of people who watched that game got sick of it. There were a lot of really indecisive calls from the referee, including making it uncontested scrums to later say, oh, you're actually not supposed to have one less man on the field like you have. So it was a scrappy game. And it was played where there were a lot of handling errors and whatnot. Best game this year, it sounds quite sad, but I can't actually remember which game is the best. So, a couple Six Nations games weren't too bad, to be fair, but international rugby goes a long way. How's your week going, mate? This week's scrappy with his weather. Says JD, it's been a bit stop-start this week, but yeah, excited for all the rugby we got this weekend. I believe we're going to be doing 9 games, if we're lucky. And about 7 of those are happening within a 24-hour period. And we have got there... so we still don't know why he has that nickname. I've got You Don't Have Wings, says JD. His name is Rooster because he's just kidding, says Maroos. I mean, that was the first thing that popped into my mind too. To be fair, sometimes that nickname does come with that. And we have got there, go the Force, second half all the way, says Osua. Well, that's the thing, like, the Force are not out of this game at all. Like, one try early, or even just taking a 3-pointer, they're back within a 7-point game. They had a draw with the Hurricanes last week in a game that a lot of people felt like they weren't going to have any sort of chance in. So, this game they're probably feeling similar fashion to that, of being told, nah, you're not supposed to win, but the Chiefs have lost to an Aussie side before. It was the Tars, they lost by 7. So, yeah, they'll certainly have to play a good second half if they want to make sure that they do win this one too. And absolutely, Hamish, you bring in the sunshine though. Rugby is life. What's up, Kiwi lad? Says, welcome in. Hope you're doing well. Hope you're excited for the second half, which is just about to take place. They are just showing the 3 matches that are taking place tomorrow. Moana Pacifica versus Fiji and draw. Highlanders versus Crusaders. And also, the later match will be Brumbies versus Hurricanes. We've also got another game tonight, 9:35 p.m. That one will be taking place between the Reds and the Blues. I think they are just having a bit of a chat to the coaches. And then we will be back underway. By the way, I tried out Rugby 25. The game is not too bad. It just needs to be a bit more faster with the gameplay, especially when doing the rucks. Yeah, it's improved at times. It's been a really weird one to follow because every once in a while they bring out an update that seems to make the game so much better, and then the next update they seem to break what they've just fixed. But yeah, hopefully the trend continues and it is going to get better. We did a Hurricanes career mode, which we're not too quick to get back into just because the game keeps changing that much and it sucks you can't edit the players and edit the squads. Yeah, but hopefully that does come in the future. It's just a bit of a waiting game at the moment, isn't it? In terms of waiting for them to fix it enough so that we can get some decent gameplay going. It looks like Caleb Trask there, so he is on the field for Anton Leonard-Brown. Now, I did mention how Leonard-Brown was very quiet throughout that first half, and I wonder whether or not that was due to some sort of injury, perhaps, for that man. We're about to find out, because Clayton McMillan, I think they're going to talk to him in a short moment. No changes here for the Western Force. So the 2 for the Chiefs already, heading into the second half, and the whistle is blown, and Donaldson will kick this one off. Change your name again, leave the banana alone. If you suck at it, eh? Says Blues Nate. I solved the puzzle finally. We were camping, and it was about 4:30 in the morning, and the roosters out the back were making the same noise as my name. So I assume it's that McGurk. That one I would assume is what the roosters were saying, but now nicely taken by Max Greeley on the halfway line. For the Force, they have to make sure that they strike early here, rush defence from the Chiefs, leaving a bit of space on the outside for C.O. Tompkins, and that looked a little bit high from Sean Stevenson. And the man who did get himself yellow carded for a tackle in the first half. Now back across to the left-hand side. Crepigny hangs on to that one. Good phase play early on from the Western Force. Bit of a loose pass, though, picked up by Greeley. Going to be driven towards the touchline by Quintupai. That is very close to the sideline. It looks like the Chiefs they're giving away the penalty in off their feet. And evening Hamish goal to Kiwi Lads audience. See you, Blues Nate. Welcome in, mate. You're doing well. Another disciplinary issue there for the Chiefs. Seems to be happening just a tad too often in this one at the moment. Going in off their feet. And themselves in a little bit of trouble. How we have there, do you need to refresh? Says Pro Pleb. Hopefully soon it will kick in. Currently 90 seconds into the second half. All that one hasn't found touch for the Chiefs. Now, Caleb Trask, only recently making his way onto the field, has gone with the up and under. Now all racing forwards Donaldson. Doesn't get it cleanly. Now Amoni Narua goes across to Samasuni Tolkiaho. About 40 metres out. Ratima. Oh, that's gone past the hands of Amoni Narua. Picked up by Caleb Trask. Some very physical nature in the breakdown throughout this matchup. Pop pass from Dyer off to Jacobson. And off the radar says JD. Now again, Ratima kicks it high. Chasing after this one was Ronu. Once again slaps it back for Cortez Ratima. Shovels it on to Josh Jacob, who's going to try the run up the middle. Offloads to Ratima. And it's going to be a foot race. Is he going to link up? He's going to back himself here. Puts in the fend and is dragged down just short of the try line. Tupavai unselfishly passes across to Quintupai. And Ratima will be feeling that. Narawa goes across to Dyer, does score it. And the Chiefs score early in the second half. 3 minutes in. Tell you what, Ratima, he tried with everything that he had still left in the tank to get over the try line there, but just pulled down short of the try line. Ollie Norris, he's been outstanding since making his way onto the field. Definitely for a guy who wasn't expecting to start in this contest, or at least have any sort of sufficient minutes. Ratima just put it in the fend, and the jersey scrag from Matt Greeley was enough to stop him. Well, they weren't able to stop Ollie Norris once he started bundling towards the try line. And that is a brilliant try to have right early on in the half. And that one has gone over, making the score now 32 points to 15. Looks like Trask is just getting a little bit of attention there. I think Norris and also Ratima just having a bit of a conversation there after he scored it. Now kicked off, nicely taken by Tupai, who almost went straight through if it wasn't for the last-ditch tackle from Tom Robertson. Now the Chiefs, this is where they can get dangerous, where they start carving gaps and just continuously breaking the line, rushing forward. Was Robertson. Kick downfield from Josh Jacobs. Sits up for Greeley, who goes across to Donaldson, able to set a low welcome in. It's going to be kicked high again. Oh, Nuttall not even getting a hand to that one. Wasn't quite able to line it up, but he leaves it for Sean Stevenson. Look for a kick of his own, and it has gone out. So it's actually lucky Nuttall didn't get a touch on it. Else it would have been taken right back. Ready to throw this one in for the Western Force. They'll be about 32 metres out from their try line. Oh, they're just mentioning about the drizzle. I mentioned how it was supposed to rain around 9 o'clock, I think, was when it's supposed to be set in, which does mean the second half could be heavily affected by wetness, which might also be why both sides came out of the gates firing, trying to get those points on the board early. Loose bouncing ball again, nicely claimed by Sean Stevenson. Good surf at the mount this week. Says Octo down and get the bonus point win, Chiefs. Says Nov Mum. Low tackle on Lord by Robertson. Now Ratama, inside ball from Trask. He's got Cortez. Ratama with him, goes off to him, and he scores the try. And that is now 2 in quick succession here for the Chiefs. 18 in his career, Cortez Ratama. He was close to scoring only moments ago. And he has now got it. Great ball from Boschia, unselfish. Says Ratama, you deserve one, so we'll give you that one now. Yeah, just nice passing there from the Chiefs, popping it up. And here we have it, says Norman, let's go. And Harry Potter's try was magic. Yeah, it was certainly something unique that you don't normally see. But the Chiefs were caught off guard. But I feel like that was also the moment that we actually saw them switch on a little bit more. Seemed like that added a bit more intent to their game. But Josh Jacob now ready to take this kick. Ugh, it's gone away to the side. Not quite connecting the way that he would have liked with that one. They can go quick if they want, as the call there from the referee. And now a 22-point lead. There's been some quite rough kicks today, although there is a bit of a breeze to deal with. Chiefs creeping away slowly. Now kicked off high, nicely taken by Kuintupaya. Now Ratama going to be rolling this one back into the pocket, finds Josh Jacob, and good day Hamish. Watching the URC games this evening. We certainly are. We are also going to be commentating them on the channel, so be sure stick around for them. Of course, Glasgow versus the Bulls will be the first one that we do. And then the other three involving the South African sides. Now across to the right-hand side here, to the middle, Hamish Stewart. Tries to fend. For the Force here, they just have to try and cancel out that Chiefs bonus point and slowly work their way back into the contest. But the start of the second half has been far from perfect for them. Oh, there's going to be another penalty on the way of the Western Force. The Chiefs have been penalised multiple times. And now don't let the Force get a try, says Novmum. That one's going to be against Amoni Narawa. Go the Chiefs, says Lamani. He just slips off his feet there for Amoni Narawa. And I shout out my cousin's awesome auntie day off today. And also I'm watching the games tomorrow, says Tommy Tank. Are we talking URC games or Super Rugby? Because the 3 South African games we are commentating on the channel. And then Super Rugby, we're also doing the commentary for those 3. Oh, that's going to be not... Well, the ref said it's all play on. It looked like a clear knock on from Josh Lord. Ref says it goes backwards. Only Narawa now will kick this one downfield, looking for the 50-22, and somehow the ball avoided the touchline, and it just goes dead by half a metre, if not less than that. Now they'll have to go right back to where it was kicked from. So it could have been an outstanding one. Looked like it was a 50-22 for all money, but the ball bounces awkwardly and just avoids that touchline. How's it going? Says JD to Nate there too. Oh, 6 black, so that is going to be Summer Penny Finau. Now we'll be going off for an HIA. That is going to bring out Simon Parker. Now, question mark around how long they're going to give Wallace Satiti. He is sitting on the bench, waiting patiently for his chance. Finau's now gone off with the injuries, or at least the head knock, so that might make them a bit hesitant to make that other switch so early. Who's on the menu for the Super tomorrow, Hamish? So it will be Fiji and Roa away from home up against Moana Pacifica. There will be Highlanders versus Crusaders. And then also it is Brumbies versus Hurricanes. Henry Robertson ready to feed this ball in. And does work relatively effectively. Oh, big shot coming in on Hamish Stewart. 25 metres out from the line. James Dolman almost getting cleaned up by the referee. By the player. Oh, nice offloading from Coenzo. That is fantastic handling from the Western Force. Then it goes out wide and Harry Potter does drop it. Don't know whether to have a bong or spots, says Drake. I honestly wouldn't know what that second one is. Harry Potter, he had some time out there on the wing waiting for the possession, and then it eventually goes to him. Slips out of the hands. And hello, says Drake. Now the scrum chance here for the Chiefs. Looks like Reed Prinsep. Reed Prinsep's actually making his way off the field. This is another HIA. So Will Harris, who got to come off early because he had a bit of an injury, is now back out there on the field because Prinsep's going back off. That seems quite bad. In terms of the amount of time, anyway, that he's been out there for. So quite a few fans in the stands for this contest. Does look like a very popular ground. Maybe we'll see a couple games of rugby this location in the future. They probably tried it out to see what would happen. And I think they'd find a bit of success if they did go back again. Of course, there is still a cricket pitch on the middle of the field, but this will be a cricket ground by summer. Oh, free kick. Going the way of the Chiefs for being too far back there for the Western Force. Now Josh Jacob. Looks like he's just going to go for the big up and under. So Kane Koteka actually makes his way on rather than Will Harris. And that is for Reed Prinsep. Bit of a miscommunication at the back from the Western Force, but Greeley does take the catch. Oh, Jacob has to get across. In fact, this time it was Caleb Trask. And does try and put the ball into touch. Donaldson is waiting for it. Hasn't had as much of a role in the second half as he did in the first. He had some phenomenal moments. Nicely taken by Moni Narua. Might have been hesitant there, thinking about maybe calling a mark, but Jacob does get it into touch off his left boot. Now we have good there go the Chiefs, says Tangi. Right, sounds like Caleb Trask may not be out on the field for much longer. Looks like an ankle injury for him. Unfortunately, the Chiefs have already had many injuries. James Dolman's grandfather, Jimmy Dolman, was from Gisborne. Worked at the Works, says Patrick. There you go, a little bit of family tree history. Dolman, nice run forward from Quinzel. Back across to the left-hand side to Kane Koteka. Just made his way on. Robertson, all well handled by Nick Champion de Chris Pigney. Struggling to just get this ball moving at the moment, the Western Force. Nice fin from Harry Potter, but he will be tackled by Sean Stevenson again. Henry Robertson goes across to Ryan Cox and met by some solid defence. I'll make Tim is back in action tonight, 5 weeks off, says JD. So it is good to have him back on the YouTube side of things. That's going to be a nice run from Potter, and he scores the try for the Western Force. Looks like he might have injured himself in the process, but he is back over the try line for the second time in this contest. Damn you, Potter, says Novmum. So yeah, that should be mentioned because that means now that the way it sits at the moment is no bonus point at the moment. Harry Potter, just some pace there. Sean Stevenson getting caught slightly out of position at the back. And then it's well picked up. Poor defense from Josh Lord, who's disappointed about it. Ratama looked like the only guy who was trying to tackle him. And nice try, Harry. Says Stuart Moore, and she's a teacher, so she enjoys any time away from the kids. Says Fleshin. So then 2 from 4 at the moment for Ben Donaldson. Now opportunity to line up this kick and does get it over. Now making the score 37 points to 22. Yeah, nice little kick in behind. And Potter got it forward. Tim returned to Livestream along Santa Beard and 10 kids. Joking, Timmy, miss you, mate. Says JD. And if we don't win tomorrow, it might be season over. Not necessarily. I think the comp's close enough at the moment that, you know, yes, losing would be unfortunate, but there's still time. Like, we've still got 4 games remaining, I think, for all of the teams, or 3 games after this in some cases. So I think that everyone's still got a chance. In terms of finishing in that top 4 rather than top 6, though, that is, I think, gone for the Highlanders just at this point. That kick is going to go into touch, about 40 metres out from their own line here. The Western Force, the Chiefs will have the throw. Naitoa Akoi has also made his way onto the park. Wallace is about to come on soon, says Tanner, and except Fiji. Well, theoretically, even the Fijian drawer. Like, I know that it sounds crazy to say, but looking at the table the way it is, right, Fiji and drawer are playing Moana Pacifica tomorrow. So if Fiji and drawer beat Moana, they move up to 15 points. And then from there, they're only theoretically 1 win away from being 7th or maybe even, you know, like 8th, somewhere around there, which then 2 wins in a row for the draw near the end, if they win that game up against Moana, would actually put them actually quite close. So it's an interesting one. It seems unlikely, but it's not completely, like, it wouldn't be crazy to see it happen, I don't think. I think that there's still a very good chance that, you know, something like that could happen. Yeah, just a knock on from Ben Donaldson there, not quite getting it right. Now we're over there, Warriors up 6-0. It's a good start to the match. Oh, Satiti's still sitting on the bench with the bib on, so I don't think he's that close. Oh, no, now he's standing up. Not sure what the plan will be in terms of when to give Satiti minutes. It's been a long time since we've seen that man in action, since November last year. We played Crusaders twice, Hurricanes, Chiefs, Moana Pacifica. Says Islanders, and Chiefs Let's Go, says Gabriel, and now big run from Sean Stevenson. Ball on the inside. Ratama gets his second. Great support running from the 9. And the Chiefs, for now, take their bonus point back. However, there the draw would probably end up with an away trip. That wouldn't be great for them, though, says Legend. Yeah, it would be a little bit similar to what happened last year. How I think they played the Blues, didn't they? In the quarterfinals and got beaten by about 30. And bonus point back, yeah, baby. Says Nov Mum, what's your bold call on the Reds versus Blues? The Blues, they should be in a different spot than they are. And everyone's waiting for that big game from them. But, like, the Reds, you know, they've been all right. So it won't be an easy game. The Blues come in as underdogs, and I would almost say that is fair enough, but they also could cause the upset. Like, it's definitely not off the cards. Now, ready to line up this kick again for Josh Jacob. It's gone extremely high, and it has actually floated over in the end. Took an eternity to come down for Jacob, but score now sitting 44 points to 22. So before this match, I did say that I thought it would be high scoring. 66 points, we're getting up there, and we've still got a quarter of this match to go now. So, yeah, certainly plenty of time to work with. Right, I do see Triple T is now on the field. Te Taroa Tahuria Rangi. He is going to be on the field for Ratama, who got himself the double today. And who wins Brumbies versus Hurricanes? Do the Hurricanes have it in them to knock them off at home? Based off what I've seen this season, I'd almost say no. But once again, they should have the ability to beat them. They played at times pretty poorly up against the Western Force last week. So, yeah, it's a tricky one. Like, I do think that the Brumbies at home, though, are very hard to beat. Chiefs proven they're the clear number one now. Still not convinced on the Crusaders, says the Sporting Kiwi. So what about the Crusaders at the moment would you say you're not convinced about, out of curiosity? Because don't get me wrong, like the Chiefs, for me, the scary part for them anyway is just consistency. Like, they've been pretty strong throughout the season, and then they go and do what they did up against the Waratahs, or they go and do what they did up against the Fijian draw, and it just gets you a little bit nervous as we head towards the playoffs, because that's the type of trend that Chiefs supporters have seen all too often throughout recent years. Play blinders up till the playoffs, and then it just slips away. The Blues played all right last week against the Crusaders, could have had that, but for that scrum fault at the end, says Flesh. Yeah, the Blues had their best half of rugby, I think, in an extremely long time. Second half up against the Crusaders. They did everything possible to win in that second 40 except win. You know, like they were dominating the breakdown. Let's get another try, Chiefs, maybe another 6, says Novmum. Like I said, 20 minutes left, so there's plenty of time. I mean, we saw 3 tries in the first 12 minutes of this contest. I think the Chiefs are just more ruthless. Chiefs weren't the clearly better against the Hurricanes and the Blues. They did win those games, so credit for that for that at least. Says, wait, so Chiefs were clearly the better, I assume that is, rather than weren't. Oh, nice Stella, the dummy from Jacobson. It's the offload away to Josh Jacob. Tries to go for the offload, and Carlo Tazzano is there, ready to clean it up. Oh, and they'll go back for it. Is Will Jordan playing, says Jason. He is not, no, but he will be playing in the game tomorrow. Meant the Crusaders, not the Chiefs, says the Sporting Kiwi. And they have an Anzac Day ceremony before the game, says Patrick. They did play the last post and have a moment's silence. Yes, I assume they will do the same for the Reds versus Blues game too. Yes, consistency is the problem. True's up, says Gabriel. Tomorrow night, that is, says Jason. Yes, he is playing for the Crusaders. Right, looks like scrum feed for the Chiefs now, about 25 metres out from the line. Like I mentioned, ladies and gents, Blues versus Chiefs, or sorry, Blues versus Reds, I should say. It's going to be happening about an hour's time. Team struggle with the force without DMAC. This is what the Chiefs can do in the second half. They are the team to chase, says Mr. Orlin. Now, Te Taroa Tahuria Rangi. Ready to feed this ball in. Chirmifa now, says Aging Trucker. Welcome in. And what is the next game? It is Reds versus Chiefs. So, happening in an hour's time at Suncorp Stadium. So, home game for the Reds, who do come in as slight favourites in that contest. Nice tack and run forward from Simon Parker. Now, Te Taroa Tahuria Rangi. Popping the ball up to Brody McAllister. Tupavai. Tackled by Tazzano, who hasn't really got too many turnovers throughout this match. They look like Swain went straight to his knee, which he did. So, they will go back for another penalty. Blues versus Reds, says Elson. Is Richard Kahui in the Force coaching team? I think so. I could be wrong, though. Of course, he was only playing for them not too long ago. They've had some great veterans at the Western Force. We saw Rob Carney. He was playing for them as well. It's like a few children are doing the Macarena. Looks like a decent crowd. Like, I think someone said 10,000 people in attendance. That's going to be another kick for the corner from Josh Jacob. Now, not too many of the starting forwards are actually still out there on the park for the Chiefs. I believe it is just Kalen Boshi and Jacobson. I think those are the only 2 starters still on there, which does not mean that they won't be able to score. In fact, no, Tupavai is also still out there. It looks like the rolling maul is going to be attempted here by the Chiefs on the far side of the field. It's going sideways, and it's going very close to the touchline. Oh, Te Taroa Tahuria Rangi has to get rid of it. And they'll go back for another penalty. Here come the Chiefs, says Novmum, and Red's having a good season, says Gabriel. Yeah, they'll be a tough side to beat. But then at the same time, if the Blues play to their full capability, like, it honestly wouldn't be surprising if they won that game by more than 8. But it's just whether or not they can get it right. Right. Another line out throw, 5 metres out from the try line here. Right, Princep is actually back out there on the field too, so must have passed his HIA. We'll be close, I'm sure. The current form suggests 6 to 10 points win max. Head says the Crusaders, get Hart says the Highlanders. Either way, highlight of the season for us locals. Says Jason, and well done, Chiefs, you're the best. Says Moa Hunters, another advantage. Brody McAllister rolling forward here. It's going to be dragged down. That might be close to a penalty try, jumping in there. Coxon trying to block it. Someone just fired up the flamethrowers that they have on the side. Where's Mr. Satiti? He is eagerly awaiting his opportunity to make his way onto field. Now it's all kicking off. A little bit of wrestling going on the ground. Looks like Pullman has made his way on too, and Blues can do better if the refs stop picking on them. Says Spider-Meek. I mean, the refs, yes, they've given away a lot of penalties this year, but their handling this year, the Blues, has been almost the worst that it's been in ages. Like, the amount of times that they're just dropping the ball in open play when they should be scoring tries from those opportunities is definitely not helping. You know, when you're going into each game and having 10 to 15 to even 20 handling errors, like, very hard to beat sides in close matches. As much as I hate to say it, good to see the Aussie teams playing well, makes for better rugby. Says Paul Elliott, and Chiefs finish top. Will be interesting to see who takes the critical other top 2. Second spot off Crusaders or Brumbies. Crusaders tough run home while the Brumbies only play 1 game away. Says Jack. Yeah, I think the team that have the hardest closeout at the moment seems to be the Canes. Like, they've got some pretty tough away fixtures coming up. They have to play the Brumbies away from home. They've got the Reds away from home. The only team that they got to face from Australia at home was actually the Waratahs, and they were able to win that game quite comfortably. Currently 15 minutes remaining. This game certainly hasn't been as smooth as the match that we did see last week. That first contest, I think it was on the Saturday, only took about an hour 40 to complete. Right, what's the plan going to be now? They've got Jacobson, who could go off the back of the scrum from 5 metres out. I think if New Zealand had a North versus South best of 3, like State of Origin every year, that could be a good way to keep players in New Zealand. Says a Sporting Kiwi. Well, the thing is, they did that North versus South match about 3 years ago, and everyone seemed to love it. And then they never did it again. That's another penalty advantage. Ball pops out for Teita Roa Tahuria pops it up to Quintal Paya. Once again, the man with the fire siren, or whatever it is, down the near side of the fire cannon. Oh, cross kick goes into touch. I'll go back again. And last week, Chiefs really cooked the Highlanders, says Gabriel. And howdy, did you hear Steve McMichael passed away? Is he an actor? No, wait, no. He might be is he the footballer fella, American football? I think I heard it, but I didn't know who it was. And come on now, you know what to do. Put Wallace on, says Tanner. Yeah, 9 penalties at the moment against the Western Force, 8 against the Chiefs, and they are once again going for the scrum. They're just rinse and repeating here, the Hurricanes. They've had the dropsies as well this season, says Patrick. Yeah, a lot of the Kiwi teams have, which has been a bit of a concern. Quintapaya to get even with Darcy Swain, missed the Rugby World Cup because broke his leg, says Blues Nate. Right. Fatongia Paya on debut for the Western Force due to a few injuries. Would they have enough time to do a North versus South match? Not really. I think that the reason that one got to take place was because of, you know, all the lockdowns and whatnot, and competitions getting all muddled. But yeah, it would be a tricky one. Maybe you'd have to do it before Super Rugby starts. Do like it as a pre-season type of thing. Could be quite cool. Another penalty. This isn't going to be a yellow card though, as I believe it is for the man who just made his way onto the field. It would be a bit of a shame if on his debut within like 5 seconds he got yellow carded. Right, the medic's now saying that there might be another Western Force player with a head knock or a head injury assessment required. Yep, former NFL player and pro wrestler, says Colossus. Currently 13 minutes still left. We've seen the last 5 penalties going against the Force, all within a 5-minute playoff. Playoffs are closing in. Great lead to win here, so Satiti probably would come in late. If not, warm him in during upcoming games. Curious to see his progress from it, though. Yeah, like, it's going to be one of those ones for Satiti. They can't rush him back in, definitely because he's back a lot earlier than I thought he was supposed to be anyway. I thought he was supposed to be out for the whole Super Rugby season. Obviously, rehab's going well, and it's all working all right for him, but yeah, you definitely don't want to rush back in and then end up re-injuring it. Horton, he is now on the field for Nick Dolly as well. Another change made for the Western Force. Will All Blacks be playing after Super? I think they get like 1 or 2 weeks off and then they're straight into the ABs. Another big scrum. This is going to be close to a penalty try, although I think Jacobson's going to claim it. Goes short side and does get a try for the Chiefs. Still 11 minutes remaining. So what we've seen score so far in the Chiefs 4-pack. We've seen Samisoni Tolkiaho. We've seen Jacobson. We've seen Boshier. Doing very well at the moment here for the Chiefs. Did Damian McKenzie play today? He did not know. Has a bit of an injured hand. Sam, I thought he was out. What a beast. Says Mr. Orlin. How many more minutes left, bro? Says Lamani. Still another 12 minutes left on the clock. We've had a bit of a standing start there for a second due to all the penalties. I remember when they used to have probables versus possibles, says Patrick. Now ready to line up this kick. And just misses away to the left-hand side. So they will keep the score at 49 points to 22. It doesn't look very warm there. I think there is still that little bit of a breeze, and the drizzle is really starting to set in now, which does mean that it's going to be a little bit more slippery for the final 10 or so minutes. Jacobson, his nose looked like it's taken a bit of a pounding today. Who are the 3 hookers for the All Blacks this year? I just don't think you can leave Ioane and Moananu out. Well, that's the thing. He's a guy that about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I said about because Razor's in charge, there's actually a higher chance that he'll get in there. And then he played that absolutely outstanding game, which pretty much said that he's going to be a bolter unless something drastic changes. Definitely when you look at Amua, you look at Tolkiaho. Like, Tolkiaho had a good run here, but their line-out accuracy is actually a bit of a concern. And I wonder whether or not it's going to be that actually separates who Razor goes with. Now, nice chase from Potter, but Stevenson takes it nicely, gives it off to Triple T, who finds Naitoa Akoi. Cross to Wallace Atiti for his first touch. Of course, the big thing is seeing if he gets back to his feet. Beautiful offload from Morona goes to, that looked like Ratima there again. So I think they've actually gone with Triple T on the field and Ratima out there due to another injury. And Taylor Moa Tokiaho are probably the consensus. Moananu looks nice. See, as harsh as it sounds, I think that unless Amua shows something a little bit more line-out-wise over the last few weeks, I think that Moananu might even sneak in front of it, which is a really bold statement to say, but I don't know if we've seen enough from Amua for the season, because normally we see him like running down the wing and beating defenders as well. And to be fair to him, he's had his fair share of injury troubles this season too, which has made it hard for him to find his momentum. But yeah, it'll be very interesting to see which 3 actually find themselves in there. That's a great offload. That one is not so much, and it's going to be knocked on now by Robertson. And what about the Blues hookers? So they've got Ricky Riccatelli. He seems to somehow always miss out no matter who's getting selected. He's one of the most unlucky guys when it comes to selection. And then I guess you've got Eklund, who hasn't been awful this year, so maybe. And then for the Highlanders, you've got Henry Bell, but I don't think they'll go for that. Oh, a little bit more push and shove. Tension starting to flare a little bit for these sides. Wallace at centre, says Tanner. It looks like it's going to be, again, another scrum for the Chiefs. They have had plenty of those as of late. Like they've said, they've just been able to control this game here, the Chiefs. So it was actually Te Taroa Rangi who decided to go over and push. I think it was maybe Kane Katika. Yeah, a little bit of a shove from Reed Prince getting rid of them as well. Where would this game put the Force? Says Kiwi Rob. Smack bang where they are. Nothing changes. So that actually benefits every side who find themselves, well, other than the Waratahs, because they can't move due to their bye. That benefits the Canes, the Blues, the Highlanders, Moana Pacifica, and the Fijian drawer. And in fact, it benefits the Waratahs as well for next week. So this is a good result in terms of the lower sides. Chiefs have done them a real favour by getting a comfortable win here. And they've also done themselves a favour by getting the comfortable win, as now they'll find themselves in a predicament of 5-point lead. Crusaders now will want to really take it to the Highlanders, so maybe that's not so good for the Landers, depending on how that one goes. If healthy, who completes the loose forward trio? Savia, Satiti, and... See, it's actually really tricky at the moment because, you know, I think of Savia at the moment playing as an 8, just because that seems to be the plan for him. Satiti, he's probably playing as your 6, so that takes Finau out of the equation. And what a break that is from Wallace Satiti. First game back and already having the impact. Beautiful offload of Moni Narawa, though, does drop it as he tried to run through. Oh, damn, he on fire. Yeah, first game back, looks like he hasn't gone anywhere. Wallace Satiti just breaking straight through. And we mentioned about how in his few performances that he'll be able to have throughout the season has to make an impact. And that is certainly an impactful run. For the first time, I told you a few times, only the Satyrs players dominate the All Blacks. Other players knew that, so they move overseas, says Spider-Mick. I mean, it's no different to any other time that we've seen a coach who did coach a region, picking players from that region. You know, if Vern Cotter was the All Blacks coach, like some people were asking for last year, not many this year though, he's been asked to get sacked more times than coach the ABs this year. Like, it would be the same for him. He'd have more Blues players. You go with what you're familiar with because you know you can build a team around that. And plus, with the exception of last year, the reason that the Crusaders have dominated the All Blacks is because they've dominated Super Rugby. So that kind of makes sense. It looks like Daniel Rona. It's a bit of a shoulder injury here, which is not ideal for that man. He will make his way off the park. Always been tied up in the tight a lot. That's why you don't see him ranging out as much. And yeah, like I said, having those few weeks off due to his injury too hurt him a bit in terms of, you know, he's still trying to find his original form again from before the injury. So it will take weeks. You know, this game for Tolkiaho, we saw him start off a little bit rough. Then when he found his rhythm, to get a lot better. Moananu, the benefit he's had is he's actually had some decent minutes this year. So Amor just needs to get that the last few weeks of the comp, and I think he'll be a lot stronger and a lot more in contention as well. It's going to be overthrown there. The Chiefs misreading that one. Now Dolly goes back across to the right-hand side. Hamish Stewart going for the cross kick. That's going to be claimed by Caleb Boshier. He's had a very solid game. That seemed like a bit of a rough clean-out from Ollie Norris. Wallace Satiti, I should say, gets it off to Sean Stevenson. Now once again, some more space for the Chiefs. I move to about 15 metres out from the line. Vai looks like he's going to leave it for Te Taroa Rangi. Popping the ball up. Jacob decides to run it himself. Now Jacobson again, trying a few quick little steps. Now across Vai. Dolman just reminding Triple T that they have got the penalty advantage at the moment. Looking like a pick and go around the side from Satiti. Will get wrestled down. Triple T asking for some more reinforcements on the right-hand side. Senior ABs playing good footy. Says Blues Nate. Naitoa Koi. Sitting 10 metres out from the line. 5 minutes remaining in this contest as well. They want their half century. Of course, they are on a cricket ground. Simon Parker. Oh, that was almost the steal, though, for for the force number 17. And Savia at 6, Savia at 8, Satiti at 6. Battle of the 7 jersey, Duplessis, Karifi, Papali, Blackadder. Is there anyone else realistically in the picture? I think, I know that this is probably based more off what we saw last year, but I think Peter Larkai, if you're looking at 7s, isn't a terrible option either. And it's just whether or not, I don't think he'd be considered ahead of Karifi at the moment, based off form. But then that's because Karifi's been able to play that 7 throughout this season. And now sitting 5 metres out from the line and another penalty. This is going to be a yellow card now for the Western Force. Hi everyone, and Hamish just tuned in, and wow, I didn't expect the score to be this big. What's the weather like for you? Guess what it's doing here in Ireland? Well, I would guess raining, but might be a bit of a stereotypical guess there. 8 degrees Celsius we're sitting at the moment here. So probably about the temperature in Ireland too. Right, James Dolman saying he knows that there's not much time left in the game, but too many infringements. Our rugger, in my view, back to normal. Our schools are strong, club level looking strong. No future is good, says Rape. And raining on the Gold Coast, says Elson. In fact, they are just going to get the warning again here. So a lot of warnings for the side here. But honestly, they won't mind it too much. I feel like it's much better than them having a man down for the last 4 minutes of the contest. The Chiefs will still want to find a way of breaking through. O'Shea looks like he is still running around. He's getting slower, but he's had a very busy game out there on the park. Definitely up there in terms of man of the match candidates. And a grand soft rain, says Pyman. Is that I feel like in that case, well, you probably had enough rain anyway, haven't you? But you prefer a soft rain over like an absolutely pouring down, or are you a type of, if it's raining, it might as well be pretty much flooding? Sunshine here all day in Perth, bro. I should have had this one here. Would have the board shorts on, says Paul Elliott. Yeah, so the weather probably completely different in Perth compared to here in New Zealand at the moment. Aitoa Akoi just short of the try line. Amoni Narua looked like he was going to go himself, but quick hands, beautifully done. And between the posts, Daniel Rona does score the try, and that is about try number 9. I think it is for the Chiefs, or maybe not quite that high, maybe about 7 or 8, but it's certainly a few. And that, folks, is the game. I think it was already over, if we're being honest, but I don't know if the Chiefs are done yet. I think if they can, they'll still look to get one more. Great soft hands from the Chiefs. And yeah, just shoveling it on nicely. I think Razor wants Artie at 7, Satiti at 8, and Finau at 6, says the Sporting Kiwi. And that, folks, is the game, says Non-Mum. And also, he's the best in the world at open side, says Drape. And also, tough night at the office, says I missed all in. Yeah, and certainly, I mean, about the score that some people would have anticipated for these two sides to go head-to-head, and just imagine Amor and Tokiaho in that Crusaders pack, says Patrick. I mean, imagine if Moananu keeps getting better, though. Like, I know that we're talking about those other hookers, but Ioane Moananu, he's only 24 years old. You know, so Samasoni's not that much older than him, I don't believe. I think he's 27, and then Safwa Moa is 27 as well. So you've got a younger guy, 3 extra years that he could end up playing for. And going to be a tight game between the Reds and the Blues, says Pro Pleb. Definitely closer than this one, I would say. Oh, ball was a little bit loose. Picked up. Sean Stevenson now looking to kick this one downfield and does get it to bounce. Now sitting 90 seconds remaining. The problem with soft rain is it can go all day, where heavy showers usually over in an hour or two. Says Pie Man. It's probably a fair point, isn't it? Currently 34 points difference between these two sides. It's still slightly drizzling, I believe, at the ground, but it doesn't seem to matter. Crowd absolutely loving it. And the free kick. Oh, no. Western Force, they didn't use it in the end in time. Nick Dolly's still hanging on to it. He don't want to give the ball up. Okay, I think that they got timed out there. And I think Reed Prinsep was just saying we had to do an HIA, so that used up a bit of time. Or maybe the Chiefs did an HIA, which Billy Harmon was doing. New Zealand Highlanders definitely miss him. Says the Sporting Kiwi. What a game this was versus Knights. Says Kiwi Rob now going off to the left-hand side. 30 seconds remaining. Now, in the next game that we are covering, we will be starting in around 35 minutes' time, ladies and gents. So, of course, be sure to pop in for that one as well. Now, Te Taurata Huriarangi. Now, I'm back across to Simon Parker. Now, off to the left again. Josh Jacob going off to Sean Stevenson. He goes through. Oh, that was a rough pass, though. Didn't quite find the hands of Daniel Rona. I think it was slightly forward, too. Great call, as always. Thanks. Says Keith Cook, no worries at all. Currently only 5 metres out from their line. Looks like the Western Force will go for the box kick downfield. Goes into touch. Is there time for one more line out? Seems like it. There is the siren. So it does mean that the Chiefs have got one last chance of being able to score again, already leading by the 34, like I said. But if they get another try here, it's going to really increase that points differential. Triple T goes across Jacob now to Satiti. Was hit hard. 22 metres out from the line. Back across to this left-hand side now. Jacob tries to go through, but he is well watched by Robertson. A pop pass up from Jared Prophet goes in behind. Cleaned up by Jacobson, who looks like he wants to run it here. Both sides seem like they're keen to continue playing here. On really wants to be the one who does kick it into touch. Brody McAllister on the short side, close to going into touch, but dragged down 25 metres out. Off to the right again, Jacob Tupavai pops it up to Sean Stevenson, who will try the cross kick. It is marked. And now, Greeley decides he wants to have the run from inside of his 22, stepping around, nicely tackled by Satiti. Now going off to the short side. Now looking for the offload, nicely done, out to Bailey Kuinzel. Moni Narawa would have been quite close to offside there, has lost his footing. Western Force, they're just building their way up the field at the moment. This game was going to be over about a minute and a half ago, but both sides opted to continue playing. Harry Potter, that was maybe a cheap shot on him. And they have got the penalty advantage again, so whoever gave that away was hoping that the game would be over. Big shot on Kane Koteka. And they'll go back for the original penalty to the Western Force. They'll lose quite a few metres in doing so. Harry Potter, he's had a pretty solid game for the Western Force. There are moments where we haven't seen a huge amount of him, but he's got himself 2 tries. A lot of hands on heads and hands on hips at the moment for these players. Now another line out for the Western Force. They'll be about 35 metres out. But promising signs from Wallace Satiti in his first game back. Yeah, hit Potter hard, little wizard fellow, says Drape. Get the 63 boys, says Nodos. Nick Dolly throwing it in again. It's gone over the top, but it's nicely claimed by Hamish Short, who offloads to Bailey Kuinzel. So definitely not change the result, but it would be a nice one for them at the end. Going for the corner. It looks like he scored it there for Pullman. And the Western Force, they take one back at the end. Will increase the points differential a little bit, but it does not take away the bonus point that the Western Force have conceded here. Yeah, it was a nice offload. And then Quinzel just manages to get it away. Greeley found Pullman on the outside. And then Stevenson not able to cut him off. Or is he? They're just showing a replay now. He's close to the sideline. Oh, the foot's down in touch, actually. That's going to be no try for the winger, George Pullman. Can't you say Triple T's full name? It is Te Taroa Tahuriarangi. But Triple T is what his nickname has been for a while. But, I mean, we can say the full-time or full name if you'd prefer. But, yeah, it's actually going to be out in that one. Another one, says Blues Nate. And also, time-wise, Triple T is much quicker to say. It's like when you're trying to say Jacob Ratamaitavuki Netkins, and when he passes it off to someone else in the back line, like to Muthi Tava Nawai, then you just don't quite squeeze it all in. And Chiefs top of the ladder night, Hamish, see you later. And they get the bonus point win, stay top of the bunch, I assume that is it? 56 points to 22. The end score there. Triple T's faster, much quicker. But very nicely done by the Chiefs. 56 points to the 22. Many tries scored throughout this matchup. And to think that they started off with getting a 3-pointer at the very beginning of this game. Josh Jacob, he had a good day off the kicking tee. His Harry Potter's parents called Lily and James. They are not, but he also wasn't named after the books. He was named before the books became popular. So, unfortunate timing for that man. And damn, almost an 80-point game, says Mr. All In, a man called brother, and questioning your name pronouncing. That I know, Hammy. Says Drape. And there as well. Yeah, we already did say his name about 5 times prior, but it is what it is. 10 syllables versus 3 syllables. The Triple T, says Elson. Yeah, if only Jacob Ratamaitavuki Nepkins had a nickname. That would be a lot nicer. Oh, we have Harry Potter playing rugby before GTA 6, says Tanner 2. And there as well. But nonetheless, I do thank you all very much for tuning in. If you did enjoy, of course, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. We are going to be back for the next matchup taking place between the Reds and the Blues. That is kicking off at 9:35 p.m. New Zealand time. So we will be starting in around 30 minutes time. If you are new, like I said, be sure to leave a like and subscribe. And I will see you all for the next one.